Hello and welcome to Krachtwerke, and this video is about the amp sim on the G1Xon, the Zoom G1Xon, and well, just some sound demos. Now this is the amp sim with the cab simulation off. This is because a viewer asked to see how good the amp simulation would be if he would use the G1Xon and plug it straight into the FX Return using the G1Xon basically as a preamp and all its amp simulation features in that. Now what's good about the G1Xon is that you can actually do this. You can switch off the cab simulation, but you can also switch the line out to be to kind of set what it's going into. So if it's going into line, i.e. headphones, if it's going into the front of an amp, or if it's going into the effects return of both a combo or a stack. So just to show you some sound demos, please keep listening. Thank you. So I've made I've made a preset so that I don't have to fiddle too much, and basically this preset is a blues breaker. You'll be able to see the screen in a minute. So I've called this patch basically amp no cap, and if we go in, you'll notice that it's got the Zoom Sonar, it's got a booster on, it's got the blues breaker amp selected, and I've not fiddled too much with the actual settings of the blues breaker. Because it's kind of all factory default settings. The only thing that you can see is that the cab is switched off, and that's with the cab back on. Going through a couple of them, but basically what we want to do is see what this thing sounds like with the cab off. So the out is set to a combo amp because this is obviously blues breaker. So here you can see now roughly what it sounds like with all the amp simulations on, the tube simulation, all that on, but the cab simulation is off, and now switch to stack power amp basically. So this next patch is actually with some drive included, just to see what the amp simulation does with a bit of drive. The drive I've used is a Z-Wild. I don't know what that is, but it was the best sounding drive I could choose. Again, just all factory settings, didn't play with it too much. The expression pedal is set to drive the gain higher and lower. So this gives you a bit of an idea of what the amp sim sounds like with some drive on it. This is exactly, basically it's an exact copy of the previous patch, but this has a drive pedal in front of the chain. Back to the previous patch. I must admit, these patches, I don't like them. I think for home practice purposes the amp simulation is good enough, but anything beyond that, it doesn't cut it. The cab that I used to record this through is basically the Marshall standard kind of Marshall 4x12. So now we can cycle through a couple of the other amps. Unfortunately, every time we've got to go in and actually switch the cab off, But just to give some sound samples of all the different amp simulations on here, every time we've got to switch the cab off, we've got to put the out to stack, because I've set it to, because I'm recording through basically a stack speaker cab. That's Marshall Crunch, the Marshall 1959. Again, having to switch the cabs off, put the out as a stack. Now this is not too hard to do, you can do this quite quickly. As you can see, this is all in real time. It's a bit fiddly, but it is not hard to quickly switch off the cab. This is the Marshall drive. I think it's the Marshall JC2000 simulation, this one. Bogner drive. This one's actually pretty good sounding. BG drive is the Mesa Boogie drive. I don't know which one this is based on, but the Boogies actually sound pretty okay. Diesel drive. Diesel also sounds pretty okay. It's actually So here and there, when you hear the gain going up really high, it's going to actually engage some of the pedals that I have in my line. I don't like the pedals going through this. I think it messes it up a bit. It doesn't work very well with drive pedals in front of it, especially if you've got any sort of drive in your FX chain. So this patch here is the tangerine is obviously the orange. The orange has a tendency to sound fairly okay. Anyway, if the gain goes high, it's usually because I've got the it sounds like. I don't think this pedal takes drive pedals very well. I think it's best to just use it as an effects pedal for its cheapness, and the expression pedal, and for practicing at home with headphones on. There's more than enough amps to choose from here. Some sound shit, some sound fairly decent, but again, I wouldn't record really with any of them except for just putting down some ideas. That is also a Mesa Boogie Amsam BG Crunch. It's even with the drive all the way down, they still have quite a bit of crunch to them. It's hard to get these amps clean on the Mesa Boogies. Anything that says crunch on them. It's kind of obvious, I suppose, but you really struggle to get any sort of clean drive out of it. Just worth mentioning. I didn't even bother putting these on these Vox ones. They are just awful and tinny yuck, so there's no point even going through them. These are the Fender ones. They're actually half decent with a bit of drive and turning the getting rid of a bit of the treble. They actually start sounding a bit, yeah, not too bad. So I apologize for the weird audio, but I'm actually narrating this off the video after this was all done, for some technical stupid reasons. But if you've got any questions, please put them below in the comments field, because I think I've got a good idea now of what this thing can and can't do, especially what sounds good and what doesn't sound good, and I'm more than happy to answer the questions. As you can see, to your right there is the Joyo California, which is the, I'm going to switch it on now, so that is the California, it's a Mesa Boogie Amsam from Joyo pedal, and you see the difference in the sound that it makes. So these two patches I actually use quite often. They are completely clean, there is no amp simulation going on in these two patches, the C1 and the C0. So the sound you're hearing now is, again, instead of it being the Amsam from the G1Xon, it's actually the amp simulation from the Joyo, and all the pedals in front of it. It takes being driven much better, and it sounds much better as a preamp than the Zoom could ever want to sound. So the way I have it set up is that all my pedals go into California, the California that goes out to the Zoom, and all kind of effects are being used in the Zoom. So the delays, stuff like that, and the expression pedal, and it goes out from there. It's a much better tone, I think, and a much richer tone. It doesn't sound digital as much as the Zoom does, and I must admit I do prefer it. And that is that.